As we view the beginning of life, we can also acknowledge the sadness of death that takes life back behind the veil of mystery which surrounds it. We are born and we die, never completely understanding the meaning of our being here in the midst of infinite space and time. Space that is cold and seemingly empty, yet full of burning or burned out stars.
One Bedouin creation myth tells that Allah created the Arabian horse from the four winds, spirit from the north, strength from the south, speed from the east, and intelligence from the west.
The Arabian horse has the distinction of being the oldest living breed of horse. The Arabian horse's existence was first recorded 3,000 years ago, although some archaeologists believe that the breed existed as long ago as 40,000 years. The Arabian was introduced to Europe through Andalusia and brought to America by Bedouins for the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. Arabians are known for carrying heavier loads at faster speeds and for longer distances than any other breed. They are occasionally called drinkers of the wind. The Egyptian desert god of storms and violence was Set, Osiris's brother. The breath of Set was the searing south wind from which legend tells the Arabian horse sprang forth. Arabian horses have played a significant role in the history of man and horse, and traditional legends have surrounded the Arabians' roots in mystery. Another creation myth puts the origin of the Arabian in the time of Ishmael, the son of Abraham. In this story, the angel Gabriel descended from heaven and awakened Ishmael with a wind spout that whirled toward him. The angel then commanded the thundercloud to stop scattering dust and rain, and so it gathered itself into a prancing, handsome creature that seemed to swallow up the ground. Hence the Bedouins bestowed the title Drinker of the Wind to the first Arabian horse. Ishmael, the son of Abraham, was the recipient of this divine gift because he discerned the universal presence of God in nature. He was the first to mount and master the horse. He was the son of a Bedouin and an Egyptian bondswoman. And Ishmael personified the Arab Bedouins as well as the Egyptian lunar god Set, and the horse made him Prince of the Desert. The Arabian became known as the hot-blooded horse of the Arabas. Although the origin of the Arabian horse remains a mystery, his ancestors were slightly smaller than the Arabians of today, but otherwise modern Arabians are exceptionally similar in appearance. The Bedouins were the first caretakers and protectors of Arabian horses. The Bedouin tribes kept their breeding records in memory, passing them down to later generations through verbal stories. As the Arabian was a gift from Allah, it was meant to be kept in the pure form intended by their God. To this date, many Arabian pedigrees can be traced to desert breeding, meaning there is no written record, but because of the importance of purity to the Bedouins, desert bred is accepted as an authentic verification of pure blood.
In the beginning, God gave Ishmael, son of Abraham, a gift made of mist and dust. Out of the mist and dust came the first Arabian mare, who was in foal and produced a son. Desirable traits of endurance, speed, balance, nimble-footedness, and an elegant stride with grace were the sought-after qualities. The eyes are large and expressive, soulful in the mare, and alert and dignified in the stallion. In ancient times, the arcing of the veil in dance was associated with the arcing of the moon as a symbol of fertility. The moon was regarded as the source of all water. On many ancient Egyptian statues of Isis, it was written that to lift her veil was to discover the secret of life, that her body held the mystery of life.
We are aware of the 9 months of nurturing that takes place in the womb beneath the primal veil. We can imagine the equine world of 11 months of nurturing is the same for a foal about to be born from behind the veil. The mare is a nurturing parent to a new life and is responsible for the mystery of being and well-being of her new charge.
In the dance, as the veil is cast aside, the solar plexus of life's energy is revealed. The belly that digests Earth's bounty into living being. We acknowledge not only a celebration of the source of life in the breed, it rallies communal energies of joy for nurturing and sustaining life. Images of the horse seem to say, I am, simply and happily, moving as I do, glad to be alive in this moment on earth. I am alive as I move, feeling my body changing as it glides through space.
Many confuse the desert-bred Arabians with the Egyptian Arabian. Egyptian Arabian horses in the 21st century are highly valued both as straight individuals and as outcrossed blood on other Arabian lines. They lend prepotent genetic vigor based on centuries of careful line breeding and thoughtful culling. The first written records of genealogy were introduced into the Arab world in 1946. The development of the thoroughbred was influenced by the Arabian horse.
Bedouin tales tell that Noah's grandson, twice removed, captured the first wild Arabian horse, the mare Baz, and bred her with a stallion, Oshaba. The purity of the Arabian lineage has been maintained and retained for its superior strength and beauty since the Islamic conquest. Falcarel Inn, September 16, 1960, July 13, 1984. You missed him by 3 days. The 5 words stopped my heart, my love, the creature mystical. I saw him in a dream again, among the morning grasses calling to his mares. Tigress, his daughter, in her weathered stall, waited for the daylight and the fields of summer. Her sire rested in the fresh and silent earth, gone forever from the hills of Tennessee. She paced within her weathered stall, and then his eyes poured into her eyes, and the air that filled his nostrils flowed deep within the cells and caverns of her beating lungs. Sunrise above the hills of Tennessee, consecration of nobility and love. Arab poets say, a drinker of the wind, a dancer of fire. The nostrils of a racer are like petals of a rose. The neck is an elongated wave from which floats brilliant ripples of silken mane. The ears, pointing inward, are lilies in trembling water, and the whole body of the mythical, yet fleshly horse sways with the supple strength of wind, sun, and sand. Our myths say, on horseback we shall live forever. Let go of the reins and fly, kicking hot sparks at the cold moon. The white horse is a hue of purity, the color of the morning sun. Sunlight and horses are expressive of divine grace in Arabic literature, one of the oldest metaphors in all mythology.
Myth is what has never happened but has always existed. Myth is expressed in poetry, music, and dance, all of which lead to beauty and the attainment of man's true nature. It is linked with religion and the embodiment of man's earliest memories of his own origin. Myth is the fountainhead of man's existence, which secures his spiritual survival and provides the possibility of a return to his primordial origins.
Myth is the language of the soul.
No other beast was ever honored in Greek mythology with such divine origins as the horse.
In Greek mythology, the horse was believed to have ascended Mount Olympus to remain in the service of Zeus, who is associated in ancient symbolism with light and fire. The horse is adopted in antiquity as an element of the God-born aristocracy, which meant divine power among common mortals.
Only aristocrats could afford to raise and keep horses and to use them in war. Many aristocratic families claimed descent from this noble and high-spirited beast, and their names contain the word hippos. Related to this conception was the Greeks' belief that their heroic dead appeared before the living in the form of a horse. Hence, the soul of the deceased was often depicted in horse shape.
Pegasus, the winged horse and symbol of spiritual inspiration, was born from the blood of Medusa after her beheading by Perseus. Pegasus represents the quintessence of all that is equine, power, grace, and wisdom. Pegasus produced a spring by striking his hoof on the rocky mountain Helicon, creating the fountain Hippocrene, which means fountain of the horse, and symbolizes the source of wisdom. The water of the spring flows down the mountain slope and collects in a natural pool where the 9 muses are bathing. The sacred waters were known to confer poetic inspiration to all who drank from them. Keats longed for a beaker of the full, warm south, and Longfellow called horse waters maddening draughts of Hippocrene.
Some scholars suggest the Latin word for horse equus is from the same root as aqua, which means water. Pegasus' flight to heaven is seen as the symbol of evaporating water which rises to the sky as a cloud. With the rise of the Prophet Muhammad and the Islamic faith around 600 AD, the desert warriors and their Arabian horses spread their faith to the Middle East. Prophet Muhammad's teaching of every man shall love horse was so powerful, the Bedouin warriors and their brave steeds proved to be invincible. The story of the Ascension of Muhammad, known as Mirage, or Stairway to Heaven, began when Muhammad fell asleep on a carpet at his cousin's place and became the inspirational source of stories of the 1001 Nights of Arabia, involving magic carpet rides.
Before the door stood a horse as dazzling as Gabriel. It had wings, glittering wings, of an immense eagle. Gabriel presented the horse to Muhammad, saying that it was Burak, the horse of Abraham. Burak, whose name means lightning, whinnied and allowed Muhammad to vault on its back. Then, drinking in the wind, it galloped to the street, and as it came to the walls of the sleeping city, it spread its wings and soared into the starry night.
In the Quran, Muhammad states, "Glory be to him who carried his servant by night from the sacred temple of Mecca to the temple that is more remote." It is also written that when Muhammad flew the magical winged horse in a dream in the year 621, he will come again. That Allah will revive the winged horse, and that this flying horse, along with 4 or 5 archangels, will be charged of finding him on earth, and that the light of the resurrected Muhammad will appear like a shaft from his grave to the clouds of the sky. This winged horse of dreams is not confined to Islam only, but is well known by all faiths, religions, and mythologies of all major civilizations.
The agony of death and loss mixes with an ecstatic emotion of love, of seeing the majestic stallion, Fakhr al-Din, in the eyes of Tigris, his daughter. His eyes poured into her eyes, and the air that filled his nostrils flowed deep within the cells and caverns of her beating lungs. And as the poet saw him in a dream again, among the morning grasses calling to his mares, we celebrate in joy as life continues and is reborn on earth, spinning like the planet in unison with other spinning spheres, as an expression of freedom, integrating the soul and body, a release of emotion to give rebirth to the self, to overcome the sorrow. The white horse is life and death and the hereafter rolled into one. Beautiful trained horses have indicated social status. The centaur of Greek mythology united horse and man to form a creature of power. Hindu Upanishads reflect that the white light of psychic change is the alpha and omega of all change. It is the responsibility of the psyche to balance the self, to temper the aggressive spirit in all men with the feminine spirit of nurture, to feel in tune with nature's ways. It is only natural that Pegasus, whose presence was so important in the life of the Hellenes, should gain a place in the skies among the other mythical figures who lent their names to the stars. A tribute to the divine sacred horse. The white horse is a spirit that grows unruly in the hands of the untried. Symbolically, only a seasoned master can ride the wind.
And God took a handful of south wind, and from it formed a horse, saying, I create thee, O Arabian. To thy forelock I bind victory in battle. On thy back I set a rich spoil and a treasure in thy loins. I establish thee as one of the glories of the earth. I give thee flight without wings.